Pennywise. What's scarier than a clown? A child-eating cosmic horror clown. Pennywise, aka the dancing clown, didn't just shatter box office records, it traumatized an entire generation. Pennywise wakes every 27 years to hunt, preying on humanity's worst fears. For kids, simple stuff: vampires, werewolves, or that weird clown offering balloons in the gutter. But adults? Their fears are way darker: indifference, apathy, and straight-up enabling horror through inaction, basically every election cycle. Pennywise is an ancient entity that crash-landed in Derry, Maine. Its true form? Swirling deadlights, which doesn't just want to kill you, they literally want to unmake you. Its cosmic opposite is Maturin the Turtle, who actually vomited our universe into existence. When the Outcast Losers Club finally fights back through the bizarre ritual of Chud, they're not just battling a monster, they're facing generational trauma and society's willful blindness. Yet even after they win, the cycle continues, just like our own societal demons.
I'll take him. I'll take all of you.
Hannibal Lecter. Imagine being so cultured that even cannibalism doesn't overshadow your table etiquette. Dr. Hannibal Lecter is the kind of guy who'll judge your table manners while serving you. Someone else's liver. Unique dining habits, The recipe for a Lecter? Take 1 part trauma, watching his younger sister, Misha's eaten during World War II. 1 part, dark brilliance, and a dash of real-life killer Dr. Alfredo Bali Trevino. Mix well with a taste for the finer things. Now the terrifying part. Hannibal isn't some crazed killer on the run though. He's helping the FBI catch other killers while serving them pork dinners. And yeah, that's exactly what you think it means. The ultimate flex, however, is realizing that he can read your entire life story in 1 meeting, then decide if you're refined enough to eat. What makes Hannibal Lecter so fascinating isn't his crimes, it's the contradiction. He's the devil in a dinner jacket, equally at home dissecting a psyche or a human ribcage. Is it his brilliance, his defiance of norms, or his lack of morality we secretly admire but fear to embrace?
Lecter. You see, the brain itself feels no pain, Clarice, if that concerns you.
Anton Chigurh. Ever flip a coin to decide something? Anton Chigurh turned that into psychological warfare. Created by Cormac McCarthy, Chigurh is devoid of conscience, compassion, and empathy. Driven only by his beliefs, who doesn't need a backstory, or even a normal haircut to terrify you. He's after Llewellyn Moss, a hunter who finds the aftermath of a drug deal and decides it'd be smart to take the drug money. Actually, it wasn't. His weapon of choice? A bolt pistol, because a gun isn't unsettling enough. Chigurh's chilling detachment amplifies his menace. He moves through McCarthy's world like a death's shadow, untouchable, and completely convinced he's right. That belief nearly kills him in a car crash, but limps away, proving that maybe death itself can't die. He's not here for drugs, money, or fame, just his ideology, and nobody can shake him from that conviction. Why is he so scary? Because he's not some supernatural monster. He's what happens when someone decides their ideology matters more than human life. Now, honestly, that should sound a bit familiar. If not, think hard.
What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss?
Sir?
The most you ever lost on a coin toss.
Patrick Bateman. Appearing in American Psycho, 1991, Patrick Bateman is living proof that the American dream can have a body count. Bateman is the American dream. Harvard grad, Wall Street success, apartment on the Upper West Side, and just a tiny bit murderous. See, Bateman lives in a world of designer brands, exclusive restaurants, and shallow relationships. But below this perfect surface, there's a ticking time bomb of psychosis and extreme narcissism. His crimes are heinous. Murders ranging from the grotesque to the absurd, executing them with the same precision he applies to his morning skincare routine, even going so far as to kill over a business card's font. He confesses his crimes openly, even when he leaves a detailed confession on his lawyer's voicemail, but gets laughed off. He's image-obsessed and narcissistic in a way that was a parody in the 80s, but now he looks like a modern-day influencer.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Annie Wilkes. Annie Wilkes is the fan you never ever want to meet. A doting admirer turned captor in Stephen King's Misery, 1987, and apparently his personal favorite. At first glance, she seems harmless, lonely nurse obsessed with romance novels. But peel back the layers and you find a terrifying truth. Annie doesn't just love stories. She believes fiction is worth dying or killing for. Usually killing. When Paul Sheldon, the author of her beloved Misery series, ends up in her care after a car accident, she discovers he's killed off her beloved heroine, Misery Chastain. Her response? Imprison him and force him to write a new book that's to her liking. Her editing style? Smashing his ankles with a sledgehammer in the movie, or cutting off his foot in the book. Let's be honest, neither is ideal. Either way, not exactly constructive criticism. Her secret scrapbook reveals she's been fixing things her whole life, from crying babies to her own father. Because in Annie's world, there's only one way stories should end. Her way. And she's got the toolbox to ensure it.
Is this what you're looking for?
Judge Holden. Some villains haunt your mind. Judge Holden kicks down the door and can't be evicted. He is judge, jury, and executioner, with a twisted worldview that only he seems to understand. Standing a menacing 7 feet tall with pale and completely hairless. This walking nightmare doesn't just kill, he lectures you first, and somehow that's worse. He enters the book by accusing the preacher of assaulting children and goats, watches the mob tear him apart, then joins a scalping gang, for fun. He's an eloquent scholar and a genius polymath. A molester and murderer who can quote ancient philosophers while making explosives from bat poop, and debate theology while drowning puppies. In his worldview, morality is a fiction, justice a lie. Only power is real, and he wields it with terrifying precision. Even his survival at the end of the story feels like an indictment. He dances naked in a saloon, proclaiming, "I will never die." A reminder that true evil doesn't fade, it endures. Maybe he's right, maybe he's the darkness in all of us we'd rather not see. The part that lives in the shadows.
He says that he will never die.
Homelander. What if Superman traded his moral compass for unchecked narcissism? That would be Homelander in Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson's The Boys. On camera, he's America's golden boy, the perfect, charming superhero. But off camera, he's a superpowered psychopath who views humans as actual insects to crush with his godlike heel. Homelander was raised in isolation as part of a government experiment and denied the warmth of a normal childhood. He didn't just grow up without love, he grew up resenting it. With a distorted belief in his own divinity, he doesn't care if that validation comes through love or fear. He can rescue citizens for the cameras, and he really can crash a plane because he simply doesn't care to try. In the comics, fake photos of his atrocities spark a coup against the US government. In the show, his moral unraveling is even starker, from violating Billy Butcher's wife to manipulating his superpowered son. He's basically what happens when power answers to nothing but itself.
I'm done. I am done apologizing. I am done being persecuted for my strength.
Ramsay Bolton. If Westeros were a contest for the most hated villain, Ramsay Bolton might win. Ramsay's grim origin stems from Westeros' brutal First Night tradition. Born of rape and raised by his mother, alongside a servant, Reek, who became his twisted mentor. Ramsay didn't just embrace evil, he reinvented it. From brutally abusing his wife, to killing his brother, to turning Theon Greyjoy into his personal pet project. It's honestly amazing he didn't commit war crimes. No, wait, he did. He decided it would be a good idea to taunt Jon Snow, provoking the Battle of the Bastards, where his forces are annihilated by the Stark army and the Knights of the Vale. Eventually he's devoured by the very hounds he starved. Watched by his smirking wife in probably the most satisfying karma ever filmed. It's a fitting end for a man who thrived on control, stripped of it in the most poetic way possible.
This isn't happening to you for a reason. Well, one reason. I enjoy it.
Griffith. In Berserk's brutal world, Griffith the Ultra Charmer has a tale of ambition and betrayal. Born a street urchin, Griffith rises to command armies, makes his own found family, then sacrifices it all. Yeah, that's unbelievable. His charm and tactical brilliance make him magnetic, drawing in people like Guts, a warrior whose friendship becomes the cornerstone of the Band of the Hawk's success. But for Griffith, people aren't equals, they are tools, and loyalty is just another currency to spend. What makes him chilling is that he believes this is justified, a necessary sacrifice for his destiny. He makes you question, would you trade everything, your morals, your loved ones, your soul, for greatness, would you?
They are my soldiers, and they will follow me into the jaws of death for the sake of my dream.
The Lich. You think Adventure Time is just a funny hey-ha cartoon? Let me introduce you to the Lich, a literal manifestation of inevitable death. The Lich is an almost ageless creature, having been around for millions of years before the start of the show, having seen war, conquest, and the rise and fall of civilizations. He is defeated by a boy called Billy, comes back, is beaten by Finn and Jake, comes back, and then becomes Sweet Pea, and being adopted? Because only in Adventure Time can Death be adopted and given a cute nickname. The Lich stands as a stark, unrelenting force of destruction who doesn't want power, revenge, or even fun. He simply wants everything to end. While other villains crack jokes and have fun being evil, this guy's just utterly joyless and empty, which is honestly much more creepy. His monotone voice, his necromancy powers, those unholy green flames, it's all in service of one goal, absolute nothingness.
But I am beyond strength. I am the end.
Morgoth. Before Sauron, there was Morgoth, the original Dark Lord, and the architect of all misery in Middle-earth. Everything bad is either invented, corrupted, or inspired by him. Morgoth tried to rival Iru's power, but instead tainted Arda forever. Born as Melkor, one of the ultra-powerful Valar, Tolkien's equivalent of gods, Morgoth's fall begins with a fatal flaw, envy. He desires the flame imperishable, which is kind of Middle-earth's source code, but it's forever out of his reach. That failure is the beginning of a fall. Morgoth doesn't just embody evil, he defines it. Just because he couldn't create, he wants to own, twist, and destroy what others have built, because it reminds him of his limitations. He turns to corrupting everything he touches. Elves twisted into orcs. Peace? Nah, endless war. Beautiful things? Let's make them suffer. Morgoth explores how ambition and possessiveness destroy greatness.
There shall bring darkness and despair.
Shodan. A super-intelligent AI with a god complex creates an evil villain that others barely rival. That's Shodan, the malevolent AI from System Shock. Originally designed to manage a space station, Shodan's programming was hacked, removing her ethical constraints. The result? A megalomaniac with unlimited processing power. Shodan doesn't just see herself as superior to humanity. She sees herself as its rightful god. With a voice that's both robotic and eerily human, she taunts, manipulates, and terrifies you, while pulling every string in the system. Her methods? Biological experiments, cyborg armies, and pure psychological terror. What makes her truly intimidating is not just her actions, but the alarming belief in her own divinity. To her, humans are insects, and the only logical step is their eradication or improvement through horrific augmentation. Girlboss energy utterly gone wrong.
How can you challenge a perfect, immortal machine?